At 24, Eleanor Vance had climbed out of the rain-streaked streets of Manchester and into the dazzling glass towers of corporate London. She believed she had escaped her past. But ambition came with a dark price. Her powerful new firm demanded she betray her own community, forcing evictions in the very neighborhood her family still called home. Eleanor was immediately faced with an impossible choice: the six-figure salary that promised a new life, or the dangerous truth that could dismantle a powerful man's empire. This isn't just a story about law. It's about how far one woman will go to protect her roots, and the cost of fighting the system she once desperately yearned to join. Stick with us for the unseen fault line. They teach us in university that justice is blind. Here, justice just needs a good pair of designer spectacles. And those spectacles must belong to someone who can afford the view. The view from Canary Wharf was dizzying, a steel and glass promise of everything Eleanor Vance had fought for. But every morning, adjusting the cheap cuff of her suit, she felt the phantom weight of Manchester still clinging to her. The damp cold, the smell of burnt sugar from the industrial estate, the knowledge that success meant separation. She was reviewing 400 pages of convoluted due diligence for a land acquisition, feeling a gnawing sickness that had nothing to do with the early hour. Sarah Hayes appeared beside her desk with a nonchalant grace Eleanor could only envy. Sarah, the daughter of the managing partner, was a naturalized citizen of this elite world. "Morning, Sarah. I didn't realize the office required philosophy at 8 a.m. It only requires honesty, Eleanor. Which is rare on a floor where every contract is worth its own soul. You look stressed." Eleanor offered a tight, professional smile. "I am merely ensuring every clause is robust for the acquisition. It's the New Dawn Properties deal in Manchester, isn't it? My father is keen on it. He calls it the Northern Renaissance. It's the firm's most aggressive redevelopment project this year. Aggressive is the word. They are moving mountains and people in Ancoats. It is a region I know." Sarah paused, her expression shifting from casual interest to something curious. "How so?" "My family still lives there. Where their new dawn rises, my own home gets a little darker." It was a raw, unplanned confession, and Sarah simply blinked, unable to truly grasp the weight of that contrast. To Sarah, Manchester was a distant investment opportunity. To Eleanor, it was a debt she hadn't yet paid. The brutal ringing of the desk phone ended the moment. It was Patrick Hayes, his voice like polished stone. "Eleanor, my office." Patrick Hayes's office was a shrine to power, boasting an uninterrupted, intimidating view of the capital. "Sit down, Eleanor. I hear you've been standing out. Your grades were impeccable. Your drive is relentless. A true self-made woman. I value that hunger. Thank you, Mr. Hayes." She sat, careful not to sink too deep into the leather armchair, maintaining her posture as if it were a shield. "You know what New Dawn is. It's a legacy project. The government wants Ancoats to be the new Silicon Valley of the North. It's more than just property. It's social engineering. No. And I know the working-class families there are being offered compensation packages that barely cover 3 months' rent on a decent flat. Legal niceties, Eleanor. Our function is to ensure the paperwork is clean and the transition is seamless. And that is where you come in." "What?" Patrick leaned forward, his gaze predatory. "I need a lawyer who understands Manchester, who knows how to speak to these people. Someone who looks trustworthy, someone who comes from there. You will go to Manchester, you will supervise the final negotiation rounds, and you will ensure the remaining evictions happen without resistance. You are the bridge, Eleanor. If you succeed, this internship becomes a permanent, highly paid associate position. New life. Real life. Without resistance. And if they resist legally, that's why you are there, Eleanor. To prevent legal resistance. Use your familiarity. Smooth the edges. Bring this case home, and you will have a home in Canary Wharf." The offer was a serpent, beautiful and tempting, promising to resolve the very conflict that tore her apart. Later that evening, in a cramped, rain-streaked traditional pub in Ancoats, Eleanor nursed a cold pint, reviewing the New Dawn file. The rain outside was relentless, mirroring the pounding guilt in her head. She was a ghost here, too polished for the brick walls, too common for the glass towers. She called her mother. "Eleanor, why won't you answer me? You're in town and you can't show your face." "I'm at the pub, Mum. I'm working. It's the New Dawn project. I'm part of it." Her mother's silence was heavier than the storm. "The company tearing everything down. Your father lost his job 2 months ago because of the warehouse they bought. You are helping them." "I'm trying to help from the inside. Maybe I can negotiate better terms." "No, Eleanor. You don't buy the loyalty of a place. You bought a ticket out. You moved to London, you got your new life. Don't you dare come back here and pretend you can be one of us when the pen that will drive us out is in your hand." Her mother hung up, leaving Eleanor suspended between two irreconcilable worlds. Manchester in November. Exactly as the poems describe, Sarah's voice cut through the silence. She stood there, dripping slightly, but fundamentally untouched by the gloom. "What are you doing here? Patrick didn't send you." "Came alone. I read the entire file after your meeting. The eviction is legal on paper, but it's completely immoral. That clause about the historical land review is a disaster waiting to happen. The Hayes are playing a dangerous game. No. I need to prove to him that I am more than a girl from Manchester he can simply manipulate. You are about to betray the people who created you, Eleanor. For what? A salary. Title. The illusion of power is what they use to divide us and conquer the ground beneath us. Don't talk to me about illusions. The difference between your life and mine is that yours is built on a solid foundation. Mine is built on the detritus your father is creating. We have to look further back. To the original land purchase contract in 1985. There is a fundamental flaw. I found a cryptic reference to an old shared agreement with the city council that Patrick seems to have deliberately excluded from the current disclosure. If Patrick Hayes buried something, he will destroy us both to keep it hidden. Then let's make sure he doesn't know we're working together. You have the access in Manchester, you can use your familiarity to enter. I have the surname to access the old archives. You have their loyalty. I have the key to the castle." Eleanor stared at the pint, then at the rain, and finally at Sarah. The line between the two worlds was dissolving. She drank the beer in one determined gulp. "What's the first step?" The key was the Ancoats Public Works mandate, a small, faded document Sarah unearthed in a forgotten basement archive beneath the City of London. It mandated that 30% of any redeveloped housing on that specific parcel of land had to remain designated social infrastructure, meaning genuinely affordable homes for the existing community. Patrick, then a rising star at the city council, had signed it. He had later left the council, joined the firm, and systematically buried his own agreement, paving the way for the New Dawn acquisition. The conflict of interest was absolute. The fraud, undeniable. While Sarah worked in the archival shadows, Eleanor had to navigate the living, breathing distrust of Ancoats. They saw her London suit and heard the subtle shift in her accent. They were right to be suspicious. The New Dawn representatives had told Mr. Jenkins, a retired mechanic and local figure, that the affordable housing clause was a mistake on the council's side, that the land simply had to go for the greater good of the region. They lied, Eleanor thought bitterly. Mr. Jenkins, the entire New Dawn contract is fraudulent. Patrick Hayes is trying to bypass an original, legally binding agreement that reserves housing for your community. We need evidence from your side. Do you remember who championed the original agreement back in '85? Old Thomas, he was our community leader. He died last year. But his wife Margaret, she's got a box of everything. She's stubborn though. Doesn't trust anyone wearing a London suit. Eleanor approached Margaret's house with a deep sense of dread. Her own mother, who opened the door, watched the interaction with cold, analytical eyes. "You are the lawyer who is supposed to clear the way for them," her mother accused. "You think I'm going to let Margaret hand over her husband's last memory to a sellout?" Eleanor felt the full weight of the accusation. "I'm not a sellout, Mum. I'm here because my family is being hurt by this too. My father lost his job, and I can barely look you in the eye. Prove it, Eleanor. Anyone can wear the suit and say the right words. Margaret, sitting by the dying fire, had not moved. Eleanor knelt, letting the professional composure fall away. The firm I work for is built on a lie. Patrick Hayes signed an agreement in 1985 guaranteeing your community the right to this land. And he buried it to make millions now. If Sarah and I expose him, the entire project collapses, and you keep your homes. But I will lose everything I built in London. My career, my future, the one thing I thought would finally make you proud. That is the price. And you're willing to pay that price? Margaret finally asked, her voice raspy but clear. I'm willing to pay the price of being able to look in the mirror again. Margaret stared at Eleanor's earnest, unpolished expression, recognizing the old fierce fire of Ancoats in her eyes. The box is in the corner, she finally relented. You tell me if my Thomas was a fool, or if he was just betrayed. Inside the chest, Eleanor found Thomas's meticulous notes, correspondence with Patrick Hayes, and photographs confirming the original social housing plan. The local evidence was secured. The confrontation took place in the glass-walled boardroom in Canary Wharf. Patrick Hayes, sensing victory was imminent, was chairing a final meeting with senior partners. Eleanor and Sarah walked in, uninvited, placing a heavy, worn folder in front of him. Patrick's eyes narrowed, irritated. Eleanor, this is a senior meeting. You should be in Manchester, not interrupting. I'm done in Manchester, sir. The evictions won't be happening. Is that so? And why is that? A mocking, superior smile played on his lips. Because the entire New Dawn acquisition is voidable, father. Conflict of interest and fraud. Sarah's voice was sharp, unafraid. Patrick burst into loud laughter, a sound designed to intimidate. Nonsense. The land transfer was fully legal. The land transfer was legal, but the contract wasn't. Eleanor spoke, her voice measured and steel-strong. We have the Ancoats Public Works mandate from 1985. You signed it, Mr. Hayes, when you were head of planning at the City Council. It guarantees 30% social housing, which you failed to disclose upon acquisition, making the entire deal a fraudulent, illegal act of self-dealing. Patrick stood up, his face a mask of purple rage. You two little ingrates. Do you know what you are doing? You are ruining my career. And yours, Eleanor. You will never work in this city again. Sarah stepped forward, her hand resting on Eleanor's shoulder. We will, father. Just not for you. The City Council has been notified. The press has the documents, complete with Margaret Vance's local testimony. We chose to defend the truth, not the profit margin. Eleanor slid a single crisp piece of paper across the polished mahogany table. Her resignation. I came to London seeking power, Mr. Hayes. But I found my strength in remembering where I came from. I choose Manchester. Patrick watched, his power draining away, leaving him hollow. What about your future? Eleanor stopped at the door, calm, victorious. I'm going back to Manchester, Mr. Hayes. And I will start a new law practice. The kind that defends people against men like you. Good luck with the ethics board. Eleanor and Sarah walked out of the sterile, glossy Canary Wharf building and into the cold London air, no longer separated by a fault line, but united by the truth they had unearthed. Eleanor chose integrity over income, paying the ultimate price for the truth. But in the end, justice was served by the very principles Patrick Hayes thought he could bury. The question is, what would you have done in Eleanor's position? Let us know your thoughts and tough choices in the comments below. If this intense story of ambition and betrayal resonated with you, hit the like button and subscribe for more emotional, true-to-life dramas.